If you don't know and you ended up here and I don't know how you know, my name is Laura Cardwell. I am a quantum integrative wellness practitioner, as well as I own Shift Brain Integration in Asheville, North Carolina, and a practice for quantum wellness. And so these weekly demos that we've been doing have been an opportunity for me to work with and show you how I work with a really cool advanced technology called the Genius biofeedback machine. And the quantum biofeedback has been around for a really long time, many years. Lots of people are using it. The machines, like a Skio machine or an Indigo machine or a Spooky 2 machine, those are all quantum biofeedback machines. And what they do is they read out, they kind of get a readout of what's going on in your energy field. So this particular software is an app. So Ryan Williams of Insight Health Apps developed an app that mimics the machine, does the same thing as the machine, which is great because it makes it affordable in a way that a lot of things have not been affordable. A Skio machine itself can be between $8,000 and $20,000 depending on what you're looking for. So having an app available to us to use for those same libraries, as well as the ability to build our own. And so I've taken that technology, I'm using what was provided for us, and then I'm also been building all of my own libraries specific to my clientele, which tends to deal more with neurological stress and things like that. So today we're going to be looking at this technology a little bit closer. I'll be putting it on the screen in a minute. We have a willing victim who sent me all of her information going into this. Hi, Christy. Thank you for being here. And thank you for doing this. So Christy has, I asked her if she wanted to work on anything in particular today. And she said that she's had some heart palpitations or just kind of some fluttering in general, it seemed like. And so that's a really great thing for us to be able to work on, because I can really show you how we can cater what we're doing to an individual, and how we work with this technology remotely on people. So this particular technology uses a voice recording, it uses a picture, and then it uses archetypal data like your birthday and your name. And it takes all of that information, it plugs it into an algorithm and compares it against however many frequencies are in the library. And then it gives us a score and kind of tells us what the probability of those things being in and out of harmony are. If you guys have never worked with vibrational medicine or some sort of healing modality, energetic medicine in some kind of way, what you need to know is that we're working with how the body emits frequencies. So all the cells are movement, they're energy at their core, they're moving, they're creating waves. Those waves we measure in frequencies. And so those frequencies can, very similar to an orchestra, you can have some dissonance where they're out of balance and they're disrupting each other, or you can have harmony. You can have them come into harmony where they're working together. And so that's what we're looking for here. Is what it's going to tell us is what kinds of things might be out of harmony in some kind of way, out of balance in some kind of way, and how those things need to be brought back into balance in order for the body to find homeostasis and heal itself. So this is not a treatment modality. This isn't me diagnosing and finding things and saying this is what's wrong and this is what we need to do about it. I'm not a doctor and I am not a psychologist, so in no way am I treating anything or diagnosing anything. But I can look at a big picture and say, hey, these are vibrations that might be out of balance in your whole energetic field. And by bringing those things back into balance, your body can then use its own innate healing system to come back into balance. The cool part is that it's a really advanced technology that really taps into different types of waveforms that allow me to work remotely with people. So that goes with the quantum physics laws of entanglement and non-locality, basically that any particles that were ever once involved in some kind of way, once separated, can always affect the other particle. And since they believe currently that our universe came from the Big Bang, so there were particles interacting and then the whole universe expanded from that. Those particles have never truly been separate. And so energy is entangled and connected, and it's kind of outside of time and space, which can be hard to wrap your brains around, but quantum physics is kind of hard to wrap your brain around. And so we're going to be using some of those laws of that entanglement and non-locality, meaning I can work on her from here through time and space, outside of time and space kind of thing, and work remotely. And this machine was developed to do that. So that's one of the other really exciting things about working with this particular technology, is that it was developed for us to be able to work remotely and help people anywhere in the world. Okay, so let's get started with what's going on for Miss Christy today. First of all, let me get my screen share up so that you guys can see this trusty little, hold on, I gotta move it out of the way so that I can see what I'm doing to share the page. Let's see here. You guys know how well I do with technology all the time. Just move it out of the way a little bit. Okay, here it comes. I know you're very excited to be able to, this is your favorite part where I put the quantum biofeedback app up there and you can see it. So I went ahead before we started and I got some things preloaded so that we didn't have to take time to do all of that. So I've already entered her voice and I've entered her picture and I've gotten the original readout for her. And I've started to put together a general picture for myself to see what might be going on for Christy. And it looks like, you probably don't know this, but it's possible when we're looking at things like heart palpitations that we could be looking at a couple different, there's lots of different reasons why that might be able to be happening. But today I'm going to dig into probably it's mostly anxiety. Although there is a menopause component, there can be a menopause component, and we'll be looking at pulling in some herbs to support that as well, just to make sure. But a lot of times the palpitations are anxiety related, and in general, I think I've said this a couple times for a couple weeks in a row, anxiety is up for people, right? So we talk about what it means to have our personal emotions a lot, but also there's the global emotion, and anybody who's empathetic knows this. They've tapped into that at some point in their life, and they can feel that global energy more than other people can. And so they feel more sadness for the animals. They feel more compassion for the children at the border. There's more feeling going on for them. And anxiety, there's currently some conversation around the idea that anxiety itself actually is more of a more of that collective energy emotion than it is an individual emotion. I do believe that we have some individual emotion around anxiety, but they're talking about right now, they're kind of talking about the idea that actually anxiety, the way that we feel anxiety lives in the collective emotion. So we all are feeling at least a little bit of a low level anxiety right now. And not to mention that basically there's a major tiger out there and it's not safe for us to even go get food. So all of our fight or flight systems are up just a little bit. So it doesn't surprise me that there's also an extra level here for Christy with some heart palpitations. So that's what we're going to work on today, is kind of the supporting that heart and supporting some anxiety pathways. Okay, so let's take a look. As you guys know, if you've been here before, if you haven't, we're going to kind of talk through it a little bit, but the quantum biofeedback, the Genius biofeedback app allows us to look, it reads all of the frequencies in the body. So that tells me what's going on with vitamins and minerals and amino acids. And again, it's not diagnostic. I can't say you've got low calcium or anything like that, but it tells me what might be in or out of balance and what needs to be balanced energetically. So we're going to look at the body. We're going to look at the mind. It tells me kind of what's going on. We can do a little bit of neurofeedback here, look at the brain waves. We can look at neurotransmitters. We can look at brain areas. We can look at deeper emotions. So I've already kind of looked into that, and I'll talk about that in just a second. And then we have the biofield, which is our energetic structure. So that's our meridians and chakras, and any of our energy systems that help to govern all that physical stuff that might be going on. So we're going to start to, I've started to actually pull together, when I'm doing a session with someone individually, I generally start with what I call my standard protocol, which means I go look at spinal energy, I go look at today's stress, I go get organ information, mineral information, vitamin information, and a thing called Nogiers, which kind of, I won't go into that right now, but there's some frequencies there that I look at, and then herbs and flower essences. And so I've gone ahead and I've kind of collected all that information for what's going on for Christy today, so that we don't have to spend too much time dragging it in. But I want to show you. So we're looking for things that are above 600 and under 200. 600 to 700 or somewhere in there is going to be in yellow, and then 700 and above is going to be in red. That in Chinese medicine would equate to something that's hot or is more of an acute issue happening now, energetically, remember? And then we're looking for under 200. So 200 to 100 is going to be still in green, but then the under 100 is going to be in blue. And that is more of a stagnant energy or a cold energy, as we would say in Chinese medicine. And that's going to be more of our chronic stuff. Those are more of our underlying issues. So you can have something that's happening right now, like I just ate and I'm having some red digestive issues, but chronically I may have an insulin issue. So that's just an example. I don't have a chronic insulin issue, but I just wanted you to kind of see what I mean. So let's go look at, so she's got some red and vitamins. So there's some things that are kind of right now out of balance. This is more of acute, like she may not have her energetically, the B6 is out of balance today, and the folate. So I think that just kind of tells me so folate as a long-term in blue could start to point me in directions of digestive things that might be going on for her. And then B vitamins would tell me about energy. Interestingly enough, her Bach flower essence that showed as the highest and as the highest priority had to do with exhaustion. So it seems that probably Christy's adrenals have been carrying a heavy load for quite some time, or there's been a heavy load of anxiety for a long time, and it's hitting a point of like, wow, it's a lot to carry for a long time, right? So, and that's that would point to digestive issues as well, and then the B vitamins. So I've got this, I'm starting to build a picture. So I say, okay, so that's my vitamins. And then I like to look at spinal energies and herbs and today's stress. So today's stress kind of tells me just like in a snapshot what's going on energetically. There's some acid imbalances, a pH, and nutritional tells me again that there might be an issue with absorbing some of her nutrients. And when we look at that energetically, we look at that like absorbing getting what we need out of life as well. It's an assimilation issue. Like, do we eat the food and then digest and get the nutrients? Do we take in the environment and digest it and get what we need out of it? So there's also, it looks like in blue, we've got some immune and connective tissue. So the immune could definitely be related to digestive issues. And then the connective tissue is all of our blood, chi, and lymph system, the circulatory system. And interestingly enough, that's going to play into palpitations. What's going on with the lymph system is, and the chi, in Chinese medicine, we would say the energy flowing through the body is called chi. And so we're going to look at, like, maybe there's some things that could support that. Reishi mushrooms are a great thing to support Shen disturbances in Chinese medicine. So, and a heart issue in Chinese medicine is a yin deficiency, and it's a closing in. We would say in our Vedic tradition, it's the closing in of the heart chakra and not having enough energy in the heart, or over energy in the heart, depending on what's going on. But it's a collapsed chakra. It's not fully open. And in Chinese medicine, we would go look at what's called extraordinary vessels or marvelous vessels that govern kind of bigger pictures. And we look at what governs the heart and the heart energy. So, and that's all connected to connective tissue. Okay, so there's quite a bit more in there, but I don't want to dig too deeply into those things because I want to just kind of move into so we have all this information, we're collecting all this information, and we're kind of looking at the whole story. I've collected a lot of things already, and now I want to start to look deeper. So I'm going to go add some libraries. So from looking at that general picture of what's going on in the body and the mind and the biofield, I can say, okay, well, I know we probably have a digestive thing going on that we may want to look at long-term, because that's connected to anxiety. What we know is that the microbiome, which, you know, you're made up of trillions of cells of your body, 80% of them are bacteria and things that live in your small intestine or in your intestinal tract, which help us to basically work like mushrooms in the forest. They help break down food, and they help us to get the nutrients that we need. And we have good bacteria and we have bad bacteria. I don't like to say it that way. I like to say they're all living together, and we need them all. And then we can get flare-ups and things like that. So there could be, what I want you to know is that that microbiome actually has a direct link to what we call the HPA axis, which is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. And that's our fight or flight response. And so they can talk to each other without using the brain, the microbiome and the adrenals. And so if one is out of balance, the other one is probably out of balance. And when we're working with an anxiety or an adrenal issue, which it looks like long-term, probably Christy's had a little bit of an adrenal issue because she's having some either low-level anxiety that's kind of there, or it's more acute. It's happening right now. And that those, I looked away and I lost my train of thought. So we're working on how those things are talking to each other. So there's definitely a digestive issue that we will probably want to address at some point. But today we're going to start by calming down that heart palpitation and finding out what kind of is at the root of that. So I'm going to go add a couple libraries for that. I'm going to add, these are some libraries that I purchased from Ariel, who is the geniusbiofeedback.com, who's been my mentor with this program and has been amazing. And some of them are libraries that I've built myself. But today we're going to go get the anxiety pathway ones, just because that will make it easy for us to look at those things. And we will not be working with the microbiome today, but Christy, if you want me to talk to you more about that, we can look at it and see if there's some support that you need in there. But today we're just going to get that anxiety kind of back under wrap. Okay, and so then I'm going to go ahead and add, I'm going to go get that reishi mushroom from my medicinal mushroom panel. And I think I have everything else I want for right now. So now I'm going to go look at what's going on with those. So I'm going to run the libraries. And this again, it's like comparing all these frequencies to the whole algorithm, and then it's going to give me an output. So this is good. It's going to show me her anxiety in green, and I like to see anxiety in green. It means it's not a chronic issue, meaning that it's not been a long-term issue, and it's not really acute. So she may just have enough anxiety right now that's just kind of underlying. And again, it may be that we need to add in more with the adrenals, or the adrenals, and with her hormones. I happen to know her hormones needed some balancing, so I've already pulled in quite a few hormones, but let's just look at the anxiety pathways. So in the red, there's some unresolved emotional, can you see the top of that? I don't know if you can, it looks to me like you guys are behind just a sec, there it is. So Christy's actually saying it all started when Lily got back from Italy. So a little backstory there for you guys is that Christy's oldest daughter was in Italy when Corona broke out there, and they sent her home and quarantined them, and so for sure that would create some anxiety, right? Like that definitely came with quite a bit. Well, first of all, it came with some anxiety about just her daughter being in Italy and watching the news and finding out all of these things. But it also is going to come with once she got home, I think, Christy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Lily and Christy were quarantined by themselves once Lily got back for several weeks. And so that's going to create quite a bit of anxiety, right? And she might just be having a hard time re-regulating that, because once those waves get out of balance in some kind of way, they can continue to be very disruptive. They need something to bring them back into balance. And sometimes they just kind of go unchecked from a brainstem level. And it can be really hard to get them back into balance completely. So now I'm going to look down in the blue for some anxiety assessment. Now, again, this is an assessment. It's not telling me anything in particular, but methylation is showing here. And that points to the thing I've been talking about with digestion. So she's probably not fully getting the nutrients she needs from her food and from her supplements. Methylation allows us to break all of that down and get what we need and assimilate the food into nutrition. GABA is the next thing up on there. GABA is a neurotransmitter that helps calm down the brain. And so if there's too much glutamate, and that says that up here, it says it's a glutamate excess. So if there's GABA and glutamate play together. So glutamate is our cortical neurotransmitter. It's the one that allows us to have new thoughts and make new connections. And it's part of the neurotransmitter that's running the chatter of our mind all day. And then GABA goes in and it like settles it down and it says, shh, it's okay. And then at nighttime, GABA cleans up all those extra little branches that we made and trims it all out and lets go of what we don't need and kind of packs down what we do and sends it to memory so that we can process it and keep it. And so when those two things get out of balance, when GABA gets out of balance, then there's not enough to calm it all down. And then, so she's got not enough GABA and too much glutamate. So her mind might be going, but not enough GABA to calm it all down. That could be coming from a magnesium issue. Magnesium's in the green, but it's under 200. GABA comes from magnesium. So sometimes if they're not getting enough magnesium in their diet in some kind of way, or they're not methylating, so even if they're getting it, they're not breaking it down all the way. And that methylation process happens in the small intestine. So that's where we assimilate. And if that bacteria of the microbiome is out of balance because anxiety is hitting it, now you're beginning to see the whole picture, right? They're all playing a game together. And then histamine is an immune response. So that's what we're looking at. That would make sense because when we have inflammation in the microbiome, when the microbiome gets out of balance, it creates inflammation. And so we're going to have a histamine reaction. She could also be having just an allergic reaction to life right now, to life in general. But she could also be, it could be a low-level inflammation issue. And so we want to kind of look around to see what else we might need to look at. So the epinephrine, the serotonin, the progesterone, they all showed in her hormones as well. So she does have both things, right? She's got some anxiety, but she's also got some hormones that are out of balance. Now, I happen to know that she's menopausal, so hormones don't come into balance easily when we're in menopause, right? So we want to support that part as well. So she's got kind of a twofold thing happening there. Okay, so now we kind of know what's going on with the assessment. Then we can go in and we can pull some things that would help her right now. So right off the bat, emotional freedom technique shows here at the bottom. And if you guys don't know what that is, Christy, I can almost hear you laughing right now. It's tapping. And I have I've taught tapping several times. And in one particular group that Christy was part of, we kind of laughed at tapping quite a bit because just the way it played out. So, but what I want you to know about tapping is that it's if you haven't heard of it, it's called emotional freedom technique. And it's a way of using an affirmation and acupressure at the same time to help move energy around an unconscious thought. And most people if they know it, they just kind of tap and they don't really apply it at the right time. When I teach it to use it in conjunction with ant therapy, which is like paying attention to all those automatic negative thoughts that we have about ourselves, and then tapping with an affirmation to move that energy and to realign. But Christy happens to have a book in which there's a protocol for emotional freedom technique that she could use to help to calm that anxiety. So when she's feeling really anxious, when she feels the heart palpitation, she could say, even though I'm feeling anxious right now, I completely and totally love myself and accept myself, however she wants to say it. The next one up on there is magnesium. So just like I talked about just a second ago with the GABA and the magnesium, her magnesium is showing that she may need some magnesium support. That may not be physical. She may not need an actual supplement. That's not my job to tell her whether or not she needs a supplement. That if I suspected that she actually needed something physically, I would be working in conjunction with a naturopathic doctor or a functional medicine doctor, or even her primary care, right? So, and then glycine, which is is an amino acid. Just totally blanked on glycine's purpose, but I'm pretty sure it's an amino acid. Okay, so that kind of gives me like there's some building blocks that she might be needing some help with, right? And we're just going to pull those in and we're going to run them with it. Now, that is a basic anxiety panel, but I happen to know quite a bit more about anxiety and what's going on with anxiety. So I'm going to go add an actual, I'm going to add another panel because I want to add in quite a few more things to support that, which is going to be some Rife frequencies that, if you don't know what Rife frequencies are, they were discovered by a man named Rife, and they are frequencies that help balance our energetic field. So I'm going to add in some Rife frequencies to help support the movement of this anxiety and to help calm some things down. But I'm also going to look to see if there's anything else in this particular panel that will help support her with just moving some of that anxiety more than just the emotional freedom technique, because I know that there's more that I can do for her as well. So, and here they are. So we've got dopamine. We've got a Rife frequency for the nervous system in general. Serotonin, dopamine and serotonin are neurotransmitters that also play a game. They're in charge of like motivation and it's our feel good, our happiness, our connection. So, so there's a whole bunch of affirmations and different Rife frequencies in here that will help to balance and help her to feel better. So I'm gonna get these loaded up, and then I'm going to run her aura. We're going to see it. So the corpus callosum moves information from the right to the left side of the brain. Sorry, I've got this set in my lap weird, and it's kind of hard to. So there's some homeopathics in here. There's herbs in here. It's a whole bunch of different stuff. So what we want to do now is we're going to run her aura, and we're going to see what it looks like before we start. Now, as soon as I started talking about doing a balance for her, she's already energetically, she's starting to move things in her energy field. So we've already done some work just by talking through it, right? Like that's what talk therapy would do, is help bring it up, look at it, and unpack it, and put it back in a different way. So we've already started to move some things. Her aura kind of looks like a rainbow today. Look at that. What we want to see is, we see these nice pinks and purples. Those are good. The blue is about the throat chakra. The yellow is about digestion. So that tells me that there's probably, I'm still looking at that digestive tract, and I, would probably want to dig deeper into that eventually. And so this is not bad. It tells me quite a bit of information, obviously, about what's going on. She's got some good healing energy already in there, but we've got that digestive stuff. And now we're going to run this panel that I just loaded. So there's 80 different frequencies in here that we're going to look at. And what I love about this particular technology is that when I think many of you know that I've been a kinesiologist for a long time, and when we're working with that, we're working with one frequency at a time, and we're building a story, and we balance it more than one frequency at a time. But this machine allows me to work with up to 200 frequencies all at one time and balance them in relationship to each other. So I really love that. So what we're going to do is we're going to just click them all, and we're going to just run them for a couple minutes. And I like to just scan through quickly and see what popped up to the top in red. So her eyes. So our visual system is it's one of our major senses. I mean, we have lots and lots of senses, but we take in a lot of our world visually. And when we have stress in the eyes or in the visual system, it can start to block how we interpret the world around us. And so how she is seeing what's going on for her right now could be out of harmony. She may even have eye strain that's not been there before, or feel fuzzy, or feel like her eyes are tired. So, hi, Lily. I just saw that Lily said hi too. Hi, Lily. And so then so the pituitary gland, that's part of that adrenal pituitary axis, but also the pituitary is the governor of all the rest of the hormones as well. So we've got that kind of double-edged sword there with the pituitary gland. Aspen is a Bach flower essence that, I have to look them up. I would love to say that I know what all of them mean, but so that's triumphing over the fear of unknown things, moving into a place of trust in the universe. So that's exactly what we're working with, is that kind of fear and anxiety that we pulled up. And we're working with this. T3 is a spinal energy. I always kind of like to look at the spinal energies and see what might be going on there. So that's the lungs. And the emotional connection to the lungs is still holding on to the past and wanting to communicate. And that's interesting because her aura, if you remember, had a kind of a blue band right in the middle. That's about communication. So she's wanting to communicate what's going on, some of the fears, some of the anxieties, and may feel like she just has to hold it and can't share it as easily. There's quite a few herbs and hormones popping up close to the top, which doesn't surprise me. So I do want you to know that the physical underlying illness, Christy, if you saw that, I don't want you to worry. It's not like there's something wrong with you in case you saw that and weren't sure. I want you to know that that's probably something going on with that inflammation in your gut and, creating kind of an immune response, which we can work on deeper at some point. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just hit play for a few minutes, because what I want to show you is the before and after in her aura picture. Once we're off the phone in a few minutes, I know I'm going a little over, but once we're off the call in a minute, I will actually run it for another 30 minutes and make sure we get a good solid balance on all of those things. But I'm just going to run it quickly for a couple minutes now so that I can kind of show you how fast the energy starts to move. And Christy, if you are there, or if you're still there and you are feeling anything, you're welcome to tell us. Some people are really sensitive and they feel it immediately. And some people are not. They can't really feel it at all. When I first started working with it, I didn't really feel it much. But the more I've worked with it, the more I feel. I can really tell what's going on. I can really feel it. And I'm going to use this time to do my shameless plugging. So all of the things. If you're interested in learning more, please reach out to me. It's lauracardwellqiw@gmail.com. I'm always happy to talk more about any of the things I know. As most of you know, I am a sharer of knowledge. It's one of my favorite things. You're welcome to join us tonight for our free, I think this is actually the last one of the free series of our For the Collective meditation. That's at 5:45 back here on Facebook. And it's free. It's a free 10-minute meditation where we all focus together on an intention and use the power of the group to amplify the healing effect. And then I have ongoing wellness subscriptions that you're welcome to visit. The website is lauracardwell.com or quantumintegrativewellness.com. Those are subscriptions that use this technology to help support you in all sorts of different needs, from brain integration to hormone balancing to sleep. So that's the idea here, is that we continue wellness, right? The subscription is meant that you know that twice a month or 4 times a month, you're going to get a balance that's going to help you continue to stay in balance. We know that the energy field governs the physical body. So if we can keep the energy field in balance, then the physical body will follow suit. And that's the same concept in Chinese medicine, is that if the energy systems are in balance, the physical body is in balance. I do have a new subscription that I'm really excited about. It's once a week. It's Tuesday mornings at 9, and it is a group balance session. And it's $39 a month. I run a program that shows as the high priority for the group that week. And then that particular subscription also comes with a little gift for the month in the mail that goes with what we might be working on, because I love to give. So that's why I do it that way. I also am currently running a detox program. That's a 10-week program that started this week, but you can still join. If you're interested, email me. This is a great time of year for detoxing and getting yourself hitting the reset button and ready for the year, especially after having been in this hibernation for several weeks. Most of us have been, at least I think 6 weeks. I think that's enough plugging, don't you? Okay, so now we're gonna look at her aura and see how she's doing after. So you guys have a little bit of a lag, and it's working its way towards it. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And there is the old aura. And then even after just 2 minutes of running the quantum biofeedback machine on her, we get this really beautiful, it's coming, it's thinking about it, it's almost there. There it is. So we get this really beautiful, deep violet and green combination, which tells me that we've gotten her good and solidly connected to her higher self, and that we've got nice healing, green healing energy coming in. This is very good, and this is even after just 2 minutes of work. We definitely want to run it for longer, but she definitely is pulling in really great. She's moving really great energy right now. Now, that may not make her feel great in the moment. Sometimes that makes us feel a little woozy, and sometimes that makes us feel a little sick to our stomach. And sometimes it brings the thing up. So she may feel a little more anxious, or she might be actually experiencing that heart palpitation right now. But the goal here is that we want to continue to run that. And then that she should feel, by the time we're done, a really calm, when she gets up after the next 20 minutes of meditation, she should feel really calm and grounded. And that should really help move the energy in that heart palpitation. And hopefully she won't have them anymore. That's always a goal, right? Is to hold space that it's completely better. Okay. Christy, I hope that you're feeling okay right now. And I want you to know that I'm getting ready to run this for another 20 minutes. So if you want to go do a meditation, focus on just allowing that healing energy to move, that would be great. If not, I want you to just kind of sit quietly. And for the rest of you, thank you so much for being here. And several of you have been, Christy says her heart is beating hard. So it's moving that energy. And Christy, if that doesn't start to settle back down in the next 20 minutes, I want you to tell me. But she says she's feeling good. So I want you guys to, I want to say thank you. Today, my brain is a little bit all over the place today. I wanted to just say thank you for being here. If you've been here many times, thank you for that. And if you're new, thank you for joining us today. You can hop on the website and get a free aura reading. So try that. You can see what your aura looks like. And other than that, I will either see you tonight for the group meditation, or I will see you next week. And please reach out if you have more questions. I'm happy to answer them. Thank you all for being here. I love you much. Thank you. We'll see you next week.